I call this November UAC Commission meeting to order. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No public, no comment. All right. Consent agenda. Does any commissioner wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So move.
Move.
Second.
Motion, Boyd, second. Barney. All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda passes. New business item number 1. I flipped it around on you.
Oh. Yeah, I'll just stay here at my seat. I didn't even notice.
No problem.
All right, Michael Kramer, Utility Manager, and basically on the first item here, we just brought back to you another VFD proposal. I remember our last meeting we did the raw water pumps, and this is the same exact thing essentially, but for the high service pumps. And what it'll do is allow us to more efficiently use our high service pumps, both in the way we start and stop them and operate them, and be able to flow those at different rates and such. And one of the things you can see, the graph that I put in there, one of the things that we'd like to get rid of is the water hammer in the system, both at the city end and where the water comes into the system once it reaches Gardner, and also at the water plant, because it happens at both ends of the transmission pipe. And so the graph in there is just one example of when we have the high service pump running and it shuts off, you have the column of water that's in the pipe from the plant all the way to the city. I believe it's around 36,000 feet or so long, and so that 18-inch pipe with around 2,000 gallons a minute or so is flowing a little over 2 feet per second in velocity. And so when you just stop that, when you turn the pump off, it takes time for that water to slow down, and then the pressure comes back on the plant. And so that's what you see there is that water is slowing down. That pressure at the plant actually drops down to 0 and then bounces back up as all that wave forms in that pipe and comes back towards the plant. You can see it bounces up and down until it stabilizes at the static pressure. And that takes 9 or 10 minutes or something like that. And you can see all those waves going back and forth. And there is some protection in the plant taking care of that. There's a clay valve that lets some of the excess pressure by. And that's why on that upper reach, it's actually, it calculates to a higher pressure surge than what actually shows up, because there is some protection down there. So anyway, the VFDs will really, we believe, help with that. They'll also help us when we have the water towers offline. It'll allow us to control the feed to town and try and meet our demands a little bit better as the water's being used. So in the past, when we've had a tower down for maintenance, with the plant just kicking on or off, or the pumps kicking on or off, it created those surges in town even more, because you don't have the tower to pump against. So anyway, we received 4 different proposals for the VFDs on the high service pumps. They ranged in price from $24,430 up to $46,332. And again, this is just the equipment itself. And we're recommending to go with the Logic ABB branded drives. Logic's the supplier and ABB is the brand on those. And again, it's a little bit higher cost than the Square D, which is the lowest cost, but the ABB drives we believe are an excellent drive and are proven in the industry. Are there any questions on that, or?
Do you have any supporting material about how they're excellent and proven in the industry?
You know, I think in our last presentation we did have some of that information, and I don't believe that I brought that with me this evening. But they are a very reliable drive. I believe they're one of the first drives that came about in the water industry for their application and use. And they are also they're the drives that were selected for the raw water pumps.
So we're going to get this next month on the contract for the installation then?
The installation on these, we believe, will be under the spending authority.
Okay.
So we think that's something that we can just do or take care of.
And I didn't look through these, but none of them include that. They're all just the...
They're all just
Okay.
the equipment, correct.
Are these VFDs specific for this industry?
No, they're VFDs are used throughout industrial processes. Yeah.
I just, as an electrical engineer, I mean, I'm comfortable speccing all the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So.
And the ABB do have water-specific drives, but I believe that these are small enough that, you know, even though a 200 horsepower motor isn't small, but I believe that these are small enough that they're not water-specific.
So on the ABB quote, originally it was 52,000 and change, and then some quantities were changed.
Yeah,
lower the price.
And what that is the quote that we got from ABB, from Logic, included both the raw water and the high service pumps. Okay. And so that's why the adjustment is there. And so if you take the raw water and the high service together, it adds up to that then. And so yeah, we've just adjusted the quantities on there essentially.
And they've agreed.
Yes.
They've agreed to that price.
Yes.
Or that quantity.
Those other quantities are actually in the process of being ordered for the raw water.
Does the ABBs have the same soft start that the Clayco had that we weren't going to add? So the Clayco has the 24,000 and change amount, but it also had 6,600 for the soft start. Does the ABB give us the soft start?
And on the Clayco, and I apologize, I'm not probably as familiar with the Clayco quotes because they came in later. Let me look here.
I'm just wondering if we go with ABB for
The
27,000, we're getting
and
the
on
equivalent of a 30,000 from Clayco, or 31,000.
No, the Clayco, the soft starts, that 6,600. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's on there because it's the VFD pricing is the 24,430.
Are there any pros and cons with integration with the SCADA system for Clayco versus Logic, or Square D versus ABB?
You know, we know that our software is supported by Logic. They're the vendor for Wonderware, and so and we have and that is another issue as far as we will be doing the SCADA, you know, modifications to run the VFDs, and we have Wonderware down there, and so that will have to be done as well.
Yeah,
and so it's going to be a lot simpler if we're wiring in the same VFDs, you know, to the SCADA system versus two different sets.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that was a question as to whether or not that Square D, even though it's the cheaper one, would end up costing us more in the long run and be more difficult to implement.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, yeah, you know, I think it's always nice if you can have redundancy throughout the plan as far as, you know, similar equipment, similar motors.
Right, because we already have ABB elsewhere.
Correct. And we also have, and we do have a mixture in our wastewater system as far as different drives, but I know we have ABBs, and that Sky's been really happy with them.
Any questions, comments?
Well, I think the questions and your answers were helpful, but in the future, I think it would have been more helpful to have more of this up front.
Sure.
For support. So, because I hate to think that we're just a rubber stamping group.
Yeah.
So, but Mark had some good questions that I picked up on. That does help the cause.
Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve a recommendation to the City Council to award a supply contract to Logic in the amount of $27,974.31 for the ABB VFDs and associated equipment plus taxes, delivery charges, and to negotiate a contract with an electrical contractor for installation of the equipment. Second.
Motion Lerner, second Barney. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Discussion items.
I just had a few updates and on some of the projects, and I don't know how aware you all are, but the last month I've been the acting interim public works director, and so I'm a little bit out of touch with some of this, but try and give you the information that I do have, and I apologize, Gons is out at a conference today and tomorrow, so but anyway, on the electrical distribution, they've been working on finishing up the Parma Underground and doing some of their cable terminations, and I'm not sure as far as timeline as to when they'll be, you know, completing the project. But I think it's yet this fall.
Yeah, that was
is what they said last
into the month, maybe?
time. Yeah.
I think.
And I think as they get close to December, somewhere in there. And the other thing they've done is done some mowing and such along some of the easements to try and keep the trees knocked down and such. And I know that they've also...
Screen before? Is that us that's doing that mowing? Okay, I thought it was a landowner or whatever.
Yeah.
I was watching that being done. Okay, sorry for the interruption.
On the wastewater, we finally got our Bull Creek lift station replaced, and the new station set on, and we had to do... Scott, you had to do a little bit of modifications as far as the newer lift stations are made for a bigger wet well, and so had to do some adjustments with his piping and down tubes, and did a real nice job getting it set on there and up and running. And have cannibalized off of the old one all the parts and salvaged everything that we could. The water, don't have live updates on that or the line maintenance. I gave you a pretty good update last time on the line maintenance. The water, I think they're finally about getting close to getting all back up to speed after the lightning strike. We had a investigation of the lightning protection and grounding that's out there, and as far as the grounding itself, and it was not in great shape as far as some stuff basically wasn't grounded properly from when the plant was designed and installed, and so we will be bringing a proposal back. We have several proposals that we're looking at right now as far as to mitigate that in the future and to put in better grounding and some lightning protection.
Did we do that last year? What was the,
We
I remember
talked
something
about,
did we do
lightning
something recently
protection
on lightning strike prevention last year on one of our divisions?
I don't know that
I recall something.
Yeah, I don't know if we've done anything. I don't think we've done anything since I've been here.
I don't think we took any action, but I think we had
We
a
discussed.
strike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because we've had multiple.
Right.
I think we had I don't remember
I think
if it was
maybe some radios or something like that have been taken.
I don't remember if we had a decent sized strike last year or not.
Nothing compared to this that I know.
Yeah, this
of.
one's pretty good size.
And then line maintenance, they have we have our camera that's not the best camera, but it's what we have to work with, and we have gotten it back from being repaired, and so the guys have we've talked about those 20-some locations that they go to every single month, and so we're back on as they go to them, videoing them and trying to see what the actual issues are so that we can work towards getting some repairs done so that we're not there every month, cleaning the same line, over and over. And then the last thing, we've talked a little bit about the CMMS software and the RFPs. We did receive those proposals yesterday, or actually I should say proposal. We received only one response. We had a pretty large list of folks that had requested the RFP, had quite a bit of interaction along the way, and questions that were asked as far as specifics about the proposal and how many folks and who is going to be using it, needing trained, and that sort of thing. And so and we went through and we answered all of those and gave them some additional time to respond, and we ended up with the one response, and they're a very good, well-known company, and but what we'll do is those aren't, it's not a bid, it's a proposal, and so it's something you can, negotiate a contract off of, and so our purchasing policy then, we go through normally it's a selection committee, and you select, the best proposal and then move forward with the best qualified candidate, and so this selection committee will be looking at, does this proposal meet our needs, and is it appropriate and appropriately priced, and and should we be moving forward with it, or do we need to go back out again?
The ones that dropped out, were we too small of a customer?
You know, some of them, on, you know, on the management software, there's a lot of stuff out there that's smaller than what we want. I mean, a lot of it is literally like a website and an iPhone app. And one of the things that we really wanted that all of the, I'll call them big boys, do is integrate with Esri mapping, with our mapping software. And so that really eliminates a lot of those smaller folks, because rather than integrating with your Esri mapping, they kind of want to make a copy of it over here, and so it creates issues on maintaining two databases and such. And so I think that integration probably knocked out a lot of the smaller folks, and yeah, I think we're too small then for a lot of the bigger folks. The software company that did put in a proposal, I've worked with at other locations before.
Any other items?
I don't believe so.
Commissioners, questions, comments?
Make a move to adjourn.
Motion Boyd, second Barney, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Tell them, Mayor.
What's that?
All right, thank you.
Congratulations, Ryan, on the, recount winner.
I'm tired.
See you second Barney.
That's what we were talking about, I'm tired too.
Well, after we won.
Yes, it was
Oh, you were watching Celebration,
Oh, yeah.
doing